Violence is not great and it's a sickness to like it. Today, I want to talk about this comment and what MMA really is, about the violence and about like just the nature of it. And if this person is just a softie who has no idea about sports, or if this person actually has a point. And yeah, so is MMA violent? Yes, undeniably it is. That's why we're watching it, and it appeals to a primal part of our brain because violence and fighting is ingrained in us, whether you want it or not. That's just the nature of human beings. Now, are fighters bad people? Are they primal people who just have to beat someone up to prove a point? I don't know. If you look at guys like Rich Franklin, who was a math teacher, who did a TED talk about losing. We got Stipe, who was a, I think, voluntary firefighter, even. And we got GSP, the professional and the gentleman. And sure, there are some bad guys like John Jones, Colby Covington, and Conor McGregor. Are they really bad guys or just like lost? Is Colby Covington really bad, or is it the bad guy image just his last resort to stay afloat? Like, he put on that image to not be fired from the UFC and to have a chance in his career. He grew up poor and he saw an opportunity and took it. And yeah, MMA is much more than violence, and oftentimes we don't actually celebrate the violence itself, but the skill and talent on display, as these are the top guys in the world. Out of 7 billion people in the UFC, you can watch the best of those 7 billion. And sure, sometimes we do celebrate violence, but as I said, that is in our nature. And we don't wish any long-term harm among any fighter, even if we don't particularly like them. And these guys are just fighting at the highest levels, putting their body and their mind at risk. And they are humans just like we are. They have families just like we do, hopefully. They want to put food on the table. They want to provide. And they face their own challenges daily. They are humans, and all of them have problems and inner demons they struggle with. We aren't just watching people brawl. We are watching humans overcome everything, whatever they need to overcome. We watch them accept risk and pain in the octagon and get over their fears. They challenge themselves. They dare to do something. They overcome their own fear. They overcome their opponent. They overcome the fear of having like millions of people watch you in an octagon. And usually, like, fighters are not enemies. You know, they are just on the same path with the same goals, so they gotta get through each other. And honestly, most fighters usually show respect after the fight. They are not in there to tear someone down, but to build themselves up. And unfortunately, you can only build yourself up in this sport by tearing someone else down in this cruel yet beautiful sport. And now I want to talk about Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. I really like the dynamic of this rivalry. And Pereira, I don't think he ever saw Adesanya really as his enemy. He just saw that Adesanya has something he doesn't have, which is the championship, the fame, and the money, at least when he was in the UFC, while Pereira was still kickboxing and making less money. And Pereira wanted that too, but probably not out of spite, but because he has a family too. Fighting is his life too. He saw an opportunity and he took it. So he beat Adesanya in the first fight and made himself, his family, his country, and his fans happy. And his goal was not to destroy Adesanya's confidence and mentality. Listen, he is just a kid from the favelas that wanted to make it, okay? Izzy then came back and beat Pereira, which was tragic for many, but it was a great night for Adesanya, his family, his fans, and his country. You see what I'm getting at? And we can see Izzy pay respect to Pereira after the fight. He also actually did that after the first MMA fight. I remember he said, we don't like each other, but like, you did well and all that. And when us Izzy fans watched him KO Alex, I am an Izzy fan, what were we celebrating really? Were we celebrating Alex specifically losing and getting knocked out? Or were we celebrating his brain being concussed in front of his family and people? Or did we actually celebrate Adesanya overcoming his biggest challenge in his professional career and save himself from an extremely humiliating fate where you are just inferior to someone in something you spent your whole life doing and build your whole identity around? And Izzy simply wanted his crown, status, and success back. They later met at the airport where they were friendly to each other. I don't think they ever hated each other. They were never enemies. They were just in each other's way to achieving something both of them sacrificed their own lives for. And that's why this was such a great rivalry. And yeah, truly, I believe in MMA there are no enemies. Okay, there are some enemies, but most fighters aren't enemies. Thank you for watching.